Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Donna Sharp. I am a transformational wellness, holistic and wellness life coach, and part of my purpose is to help serve the masses of the population, those who are interested in learning how to create a nice balance from their mind, from their spiritual standpoint, to their mind, to their physical body, and also to a nutritional sound way of living. And as you very well know, now more than ever, it is very important that we understand what it takes to establish a nutritional system and balance it out with the physical standpoint. Because what that does, it gives you ultimately that strong immune system that you need to ward off anything that's in your surroundings. So welcome, welcome. Hi, Wanda. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining here today. So I am here today to just flow right into. This is a continuation of a book that I'm speaking from, and it's Stephen Covey, and it's a 3 Steps to a Strong Family. And what I did several days now, I had a build up. So I slowly built up to exactly where we're going to right now. We spoke about the whys, 3 whys. We also spoke about the don'ts, right? I gave you an overview in the very beginning and talked about why is it important to establish a good family? Why is it important to have children, particularly in a particular in a sound environment that's going to allow them to flourish and grow as adults. So tonight what I'm going to be speaking on is balancing freedom and limit. Balancing freedom and limit. And what I'm going to do in between that is to just read you a little story that was shared by Stephen Covey, so you get an understanding how to put the concept into perspective. All right. So the purpose of balancing freedom is, first of all, a family. We're talking about a family legal system. Like anything else, any hierarchy, you have a legal system in a lot of things that we do in this country, right? So a family legal system, what it does, it helps to protect our rights as family members, right? It also helps to protect our property, all right? And then it helps to protect the person, and it also gives a stable, secure environment, because when everything is clicking and working together, you very well know that things will be smooth sailing, right? There will be no questioning, no arguing, no fussing and fighting, because you have a legal system to follow. So this allows us to function and flourish not only as a family unit, but it helps the children to flourish as well. All right. So children enter our world looking for limits and security. If there's no limits, what do? They push the boundaries, right? There's the thing, you hear this phrase before, they push the limit, they push the envelope. They push the envelope. They want to see how far they can get. And what happens is the more they push the envelope and the boundaries, right? Um, the more they push the envelope, then the boundaries are stretched out to that particular standpoint. So if you're looking at a ruler, for example, and you start at the beginning of the ruler, you say you're disciplining your children, but when they act up, then you say, okay, no, Johnny, it's okay. You can keep doing that. So guess what? They just pushed it to another couple of inches, right? And then they go wild in the store and they carry on and they throw themselves on the ground, like you've seen some of the children do before. And then they push it a little bit further, because guess what? The mom says, honey, get off the floor. The floor is not clean. Get up. And then they push it a little further. So at the point where the parent decides to uh, secure that line and say, listen, you will not cross this line and you will not go through this again. Then that's the point where the child now knows that that's their boundary. And as far as they can push the parent before the parent actually says anything to correct them, right? To discipline them. So basically the kids pushing the envelopes, it sets where the boundaries are going to be, that can give their life some form of meaning. So how far do you want your children to push the envelope? Do you want them to grow up feeling, oh my goodness, this is a little strict, but it's okay? Or do you want them to be completely loose and out of control when they get older? That's a choice that you'd have to make as a parent. So how do you balance freedom and limit? Freedom and limits. Parenting in the 70s and 80s, many of you that are watching now, streaming in, might have been brought up in that era. Maybe you're older, maybe you're younger, not exactly sure. But parenting in the 70s and 80s, what it did, it got a lot of attention by families. And the reason is because children grew up insecure and confused, right? Because good principles were carried too far. good principles were carried too far. Here are some things that children need. They need freedom. All right. I'm not saying give them the rope so they can basically take it and trip themselves up, but they need freedom to be able to grow and to find their true self and to build on that, expound on that, and be creative with it and figure out how are they going to be when they mature even later on in life as an adult. Children also need options. You want to give them options because when you give them option, what it does is allows them to be able to make decisions. A lot of times when you're telling them what to do, they're not going to know how to decide from one item to the next. Again, I'll go back to the example when I spoke on a few nights ago about the mom that was so obsessive about cleaning our house that she had everything so much in order that she made herself tired. The children weren't involved, which means they had no choice in the matter. They were just directed as soldiers, so they couldn't make any kind of decisions. So if they were ever placed in that environment again with their own children, how is it that they're going to follow through and handle things with their own children, right? And they also need independence. Independence is good because it gives them a chance to experience what they're really going to be faced with in the world. But at the same time, I would say independence to the point where you're still guiding them and just curtailing some of the things they're doing. And you're also giving them constructive feedback so that they can look back at it and say, you know what, maybe that wasn't such a good decision. And they can decide, what could I do differently next time? All right. So, but it helps them to feel secure, helps them to also feel loved. And another great thing it helps them to do is to develop a foundation to discover and build on their own unique nature. So it's nice to give them that independence, that option, the freedom to be who they are. Because remember, we're all uniquely created by God. No two of us are alike. I don't care if they say that you look like somebody or you act like somebody. We are all individually created like the hair on our head. That's one amazing thing that God so uniquely constructed and designed, right? So I'm going to share this story with you, and you can put it into perspective based on what I'm speaking about. And it goes like this. We have an interesting friend who lived in a rural area and loves to raise dogs. Year after year, regardless of their size or breed, the puppies he rears and sells or gives away are loving and good-tempered and yet seem to have remarkable unique personalities and characteristics. When asked what his secret was, he says freedom and limits. Part of what he means is that he has a very large and interesting yard with a very high and secure fence. The puppies have room to roam and to learn, but they don't get out or get lost. It's obvious that the dogs in a tiny and confining fence or dogs with no fence at all wouldn't turn out nearly as well. So even down to the animal, he was able to uh, groom them and care for them in such a way that they didn't feel rejected, but yet they also felt love, but they matured to obey and were obedient to his instructions, right, as their master. So in summary, let me just share this with you, just directly from his book. It says that most parents who lose their children really lose them to extreme rebellion, bitter alienation, or serious social deviant behavior, right? So they don't lose their children just because they didn't say I didn't love you or something like that one time out of an entire relationship. These are more deliberate reasons why parents lose their children, right? So they either have a tight, cruel, arbitrary fence or no fence at all. And you know what happens when you don't have no fence, right? Everybody run wild. So kids with no limits continually push towards more bizarre behavior, trying to find limits that would show their parents concern and love. Kids given unrealistic, strict, and unbending rules won't be able to find their independence with rebellion. So, guys, listen, it's okay to discipline your children, but remember, it's important that you give them the freedom, the independence, and also the massive love that they need so that it can feel free to make mistakes and know that it's all right and it's okay. Because as they're maturing into adulthood, like we are adults and we make mistakes, eventually they'll trip up sometimes so that they can learn and find their way, All right. So I wanted to share this with you tonight, just a little bit on the family system. Remember, it's good. It's very good to lay out a foundation so that you're setting some principle in place so your children understand the direction that you're headed and you're just not freely roaming around and carrying on, especially when they go out in public, right? And just put it on a show as though they're not your child. All right. So keep those couple of things in mind. So that's all I had for you this evening. I wanted to share that with you as I'm going through Stephen Covey's book, Creating a Strong Foundation for a Family. And I do pray that the information I share is able to benefit you in some regards. As I mentioned, you guys are home, you have plenty of time. I'm going to advise you to please, please, please use this as a time to connect with the Lord. Make the connection with the Lord. And not only that, all the things that you said that you wanted to get accomplished, all the projects you had, and the excuses that you made, that you didn't have the time, you didn't have the money, you don't have the feel, the motivation, all these excuses that you make. I'm going to encourage you to put them in a bag, right? And shred them all up and start afresh and make this to be your point of advancing to a whole nother level in your life. All right, guys, so I'm going to encourage you to share this live with someone if you felt that it benefited you. And if not, and it didn't benefit you, then maybe you still know someone that it would benefit. Share it with them. And if you love what you heard, just select love if you love it. And also, I encourage you to place your comments because that's really the only way that I know what your communication is, because there's no type of involvement back and forth as I'm going through these lives, as you know. So that's the way that I look and see, what did you take away from it? Did it help you? Did you try something? That really helps me. All right. But I don't have anything else. I'll be back again tomorrow with a continuation in the same book. Just giving you again some additional tidbits on how to create that sound family. I love you guys. Please stay safe. Please stay safe. All right. And remember, not always the things that you don't always have to see things to know that it's affecting you. So be safe when you go out there. Put your mask on, please. All right. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you've joined later on in this live, I'm going to encourage you to type replay. And also after the replay, place some comments in there. All right. Just so I can know what you're feeling. I'll see you guys back again here tomorrow. Thank you, Wanda, again for joining, and anyone else that joined later on. I love you guys, and I will see you again tomorrow. Ciao.